Hi, I'm Talya, and this is Victoria.
Hi!
And we are two Tweedledums thinking about our recent high school experience, uni apps, and life ahead of college. We're recent IB survivors, and we want you to survive it too.
Just for context, for the past year or so, Talya and I have been attending a private school in Indonesia amidst a pandemic. So our online classes started around the end of March 2020, and most of our underclassmen are still online using Zoom and other e-infrastructure.
You didn't tell me that one was going to make it in here.
E-infrastructure. To stay alive. And so we decided to make this podcast because we're pretty we're like alive historic documents.
Sure.
Because not many people have spent a quarter of their high school life, from grade 9 to 12,
That's true.
in a pandemic at home. Trying to maintain school relationships with friends and teachers, getting good grades, continuing extracurriculars, and writing university applications all at once. It's very overwhelming.
Yeah.
So yes, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so we are going to talk about just some lessons that we learned over this past year.
And we're going to break it down into, 4 sections?
Yeah, 4 main things that we've learned. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I feel like one of the main things that has come out of this pandemic is that we learn at quite a young age how to make opportunities for ourselves, and it's been so much more imperative because we literally have no other choice. So Tal, how do you think you were able to make some opportunities for yourself during this time?
So I guess the first thing that comes to mind is our production of the Comedy of Errors.
Right.
So we had started working on it about, let's say, 9 months before the pandemic started.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden the pandemic started 2 months maybe before we intended to perform live, of course, in person. And so we had to suddenly scramble and come up with a new plan of how we were going to perform this, knowing that we couldn't do it live and in the theater and with the set we had planned for many months. And it was very challenging. I think it was hard to accept at first.
Yeah.
Because you want that live theater experience and you work so hard for so many months to make that happen.
Yeah.
And we didn't really have anywhere to look to see how to create a virtual performance well.
Yeah.
And Vic and I had already agreed from quite early on, obviously when the pandemic started, that we did not want to just have a Zoom performance where people were just in their boxes and
doing a table read.
Because then it would be dead and very boring
sad
for us as the cast, but it would also be boring for the people watching. And so we decided, you know what, we're going to be on a call, a Zoom call, and record everything live, and each have our own cameras and submit those, videos, and then have someone edit it so that it looks like we're standing together. And so all of us had to shoot in front of a white wall, things like that. And obviously it wasn't perfect because we didn't really have an example or tutorials about how to do things like that at the time. But I think it was important for the both of us to ensure that the hard work we put in didn't just go to waste, and we still had a final product even though it wasn't as amazing as we had initially hoped maybe. I'm actually grateful for it because I feel like I learned lots of things through that I wouldn't have understood or known without that experience. So I guess I took the opportunity that with this whole pandemic thing to try something I would not have been able to try or would not have tried out of my own free will prior to this pandemic.
Yeah. And I think it was of course, on one hand, people would have thought, we felt compelled to do it because we've done so much work. Right. But I guess we turned something potentially just boring and just a requirement into something that was pretty fun. It was it was an experience.
Definitely
some traumatic experiences. But I think it went well at the end because we were able to maintain some form of like, you know, cast chemistry and like have people meet each other, because you know, during the pandemic, like, and people have school, they're just so tired. Probably other club meetings also stopped. So like, I feel like, I don't know about whether our cast agrees, but for me personally, I think like, you know, still having, you know,
still had that
a
thing
group,
to look forward to.
a group to meet and to look forward to every week for our rehearsals was something quite nice.
Yeah, and I think it was an opportunity, to learn how to keep that passion alive and to keep that enthusiasm up.
Yeah.
When you kind of just want to hide in a hole and sleep all day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I guess other opportunities maybe that we created throughout the pandemic, we had worked with our 9th and 10th grade drama teacher.
Yeah, for many things.
So we were pretty close already, and we asked him whether we could be sort of assistant teachers in his drama class, not knowing
how it would work
and the extent to which we could actually involve ourselves.
Yeah.
And turns out we actually worked quite closely with the students, and it
turned out quite well.
Yeah, so we directed a play, we coached them through some things, we created our own mini unit, and all that came to be because we had a good relationship with our drama teacher, and we sought that opportunity, and we were committed to making lesson plans, to, you know, keeping each other updated and students updated, things like that.
Yeah, because the position wasn't open. Like, our school doesn't have TA positions open for people. Especially for students. So, you know, usually they would go to like student teachers like at the local university. But in this case, we were like, hey, you know, we need to fulfill something for one of our requirements to graduate, which is like to do like several extracurriculars. And this is like our very last thing that we needed to do. So we figured, hey, let's do something fun. That would challenge us, but also, you know, be something that's pretty enjoyable and can, you know, take advantage of our strengths, working with people our age, around our age, a bit younger.
And in saying that we use this to fulfill our requirements, it doesn't mean that we did it only because of that. We wanted to do it because we just thought it was a good opportunity for us, and it would teach us lots of things.
And it did.
It did.
It was stressful sometimes.
Course.
Because you don't know when you like teach kids whether what you say actually gets into their brains, especially online, because like everyone looks very sleepy and lethargic. But you know, I think in the end they really worked hard. They really put through, at least most of them. And so
what does that mean?
What do you mean?
No, nothing.
There are some people who are still working on it, and then there are some people who, I guess it just depends on their learning style, because we're not the best yet. So
and we have very different learning styles, so it's interesting when we switch students. Because we started off with our own group and then we mixed people up, so that was interesting. And of course there are other opportunities that came about that we can get into, but that would make this podcast so long. So let's move on to our next thing maybe.
So I think another thing that we've learned throughout this pandemic is like, you know, how to maintain friendships, because I remember at the beginning, it felt kind of free to not see people, because it's like, yes, I can have my own time, you know. But eventually, like, you know, you realize that you need people to, you know, to see every day. At least, like, if you don't talk to people, at least you need to see people walking by you to feel like you're not isolated and alone in this world. And, you know, it's after, like, you know, during school activities with, like, the whole cohort, you know, our teachers would say, you know, people are suffering in different ways than you, but they just don't look like it because it's all on Zoom, you know. So reach out to people and try to see how they're doing. Well, and I think like it was kind of a bit of a challenge to me at first, because, you know, if you know that a person's not doing that well, you're not really sure how do I approach them, even if it's like your close friend, right? And you just want to make sure that you're reaching out in a way that isn't annoying, but also just tells them, hey, you know, are you okay? Do you need anything?
Right.
So I think like, you know, in my experience, trying to reach out more to the friends I had, maybe like to Talya, like I like I think like we've gotten a bit closer during the pandemic, like surprisingly. And I think it's just kind of bled in because like we meet each other on Zoom like very frequently to teach the kids and also to plan lessons. Eventually, like, you know, our friendship has gone from just like, you know, a working, like, you know, professional one.
Class. I mean, I'm sorry to the teachers if we have weird facial expressions or laugh.
We're just
class.
we
were just texting each other.
Yeah. No, we were paying attention to teachers when they were talking.
Right.
Yes.
Sure, now we know who's the liar here. It's okay.
But
we got stuff done, guys. Don't judge us.
We got very nice grades.
Sure, yes.
In the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, you know, reaching out to friends, like, you know, it was a nice experience, and like eventually like our friendship, at least like, you know, in our case, has kind of gotten closer because from something that was just based on working with each other, eventually we started to realize like, hey, you know, oh, apparently we have this thing going on. Oh no, you know.
And we realized we had so many things in common.
Yeah.
I don't think we realized prior.
Yeah, like personal things in common. Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides like, you know, pet peeves and stuff. But like, you know, even like things that we experience in our lives, like what makes us sad or what makes us like happy, quite similar stuff.
Experiences with our family, things like that. And we didn't see each other until January, I think was the first time we saw each other in person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was so interesting because we met to shoot this video for our school, and it was so awkward because our first meeting was being watched by other people who were administrators at our school.
But we're just shameless.
Yeah, I mean, at first I was like, can we scream? Can we be weird? And I thought, no, we shouldn't do that. But of course, that didn't last very long.
Yeah.
Because our vibes are very hard to contain.
Yeah. So I think like the way that we've made our friendship last despite distance was, I guess, like, first of all, just like reaching out to each other, like, especially with social media these days, like you can easily reach out.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like, I feel like social media is pretty, you know, deceiving. Like on Instagram, people look amazing, but like really, no, you gain like lots of weight and you look terrible without makeup. Like, I mean, yeah,
that's
like
not
it's
true.
That's not true, but like, you know, I mean, you know, it's people just try to show that they're okay on social media, I guess, right? But how like they're facing stuff. So, you know, use the other side of social media to just reach out and like, you know, if possible, just like get involved in something fun together. Like in me and Talya's case, it was you know, everything like working with drama kids and making this school video advertisement thing.
I don't know how to describe it. It is to some extent.
Yeah, but it's like really long. Anyway, but yeah, just find time to spare for each other.
Yes, I think for me, of course, Victoria kind of already covered our relationship, but in terms of my other friends, we maintain contact by, of course, like a WhatsApp group. But recently, especially after graduating, we decided that we were going to have a sort of topic of the week and discuss and debate it together. So we decided that on Tuesdays we would discuss a controversial topic where, you know, you can take many sides and argue your opinion, and then there's one moderator who is asking various questions, and then on the Friday it's a topic that's more so based on your personal interests. And so we decided to do that not only so we can see each other and have intellectual dialogue, but also so that we can keep ourselves, you know, knowledgeable about the world around us, current news, and not totally lose our brain cells.
Yeah.
Now that we're kind of just having a break.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think another thing, especially that I've learned through Zoom and not seeing people in person, not being able to really see their body language, is to show that you are an active listener.
That's
people
true.
are active listeners but don't know how to show it.
Yeah.
So then I have, even more so than before, learned to nod my head to say yes, right, or ask questions in between, you know, whatever they're saying to show that you're following along, or to just show that you are engaged and eager to see to understand their opinion on something. And I think that makes the relationship more dynamic, more vibrant, but also helps you feel like you're not totally alone or isolated.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you? Any tips or anything
I meet
like
my friends in the real world.
Way more than me. She's naughty.
But like, yeah, I mean, I visit friends in real life a lot. Recently, because things have been dying a bit down with, like, you know, vaccines coming out and stuff. So, but
still be mindful, guys.
But still be mindful that, you know, lots of our communication has really just been through, you know, WhatsApp or social media. And yeah, for sure, like, you know, that sense of being an active listener, especially in video calls, because, you know, it's just such a pet peeve when, like, you get on a call with your friends and, like, they're just doing something else, or, like, they're kind of... You can tell. Yeah.
And also just having an expressive face.
Yeah.
Just smiling, you know, nodding, again, like I said before.
Reacting
to things. On time, not 5 minutes late.
Yeah.
Because that shows you're not paying attention.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's very important.
Yeah. Okay, shall we move on to the next part then?
We shall. Yeah, so I think, like, another thing that we were talking about the other day was, you know, how this pandemic has made us a bit more, not a bit, but, like, a lot more empathetic and, like, you know, to not take things too personally and not be too sensitive. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think?
So for me, I would say throughout this pandemic, people who I haven't talked to in a long time, like, more of those people have reached out and been like, how are you? Or wanted to know my opinion on a particular thing. And I've actually kept myself pretty busy throughout the pandemic with some of the projects that we're talking about, or even now. And sometimes I'm very tired and I don't feel like responding. And I'm more of an introvert, and I don't mind being away from people, even compared to Victoria. Like, I didn't really feel like I was at a loss for not being able to see people in real life. So sometimes I feel a bit bothered when people ask me questions, especially if we're not too close. But then I think I've learned that a short response, or just even talking to them for 15 minutes, even though it might be a bit tiring, it can totally make their day a bit brighter, make them feel, like we've touched on several times, less alone. That is important. And I think if you want that from other people, you should also be willing to give it, so it's not only a one-way thing. Because everyone wants to feel like they're important or they're being heard. So if you get annoyed, like sometimes I get annoyed with my family members because they're also busy, and if I want to talk to them and they ignore me, that's annoying to me, right? So I shouldn't do that to someone else as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, like, I guess, like, maybe it also comes with the fact that we were seniors this past year, you know, and, you know, everyone is just so stressed out, you know, applying for university, so it's very easy to just kind of, you know, go MIA. And I mean, sometimes it's kind of annoying, but, like, yeah, I also have to admit I do that a lot too. And even, like, within, you know, even in your family, sometimes, you know, everyone's, like, you know, stressed out, younger siblings struggling with online learning and all that. And, you know, if you're always gonna be hung up on negative emotions and get stressed every time someone doesn't do things your way, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. You are too, kind of, you know. But like, I've learned that, you know, if you keep on hanging on to those things, eventually you get so tired. Like, the easiest thing is to just let go, and it's okay to be angry. In fact, it's good to be angry. So, like, you let it out, you know. Because I guess, like, I learned that it's better to be angry and to cry rather than to hold it all in. Because it's kind of like, in the end, it's like, okay,
it's good to have mental breakdowns.
Yeah, honestly. And I learned that, you know, it's okay to not be very okay with a certain person's behavior or attitude, but still just move on with your life.
And I think for me, sometimes we react to gossip a bit too harshly. I think it's easy to be like, guys, we shouldn't gossip. But
you can't help
it. Think about it. I'm sure everyone gossips in one way or another.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not condoning gossiping that is hurtful or strays away from the truth. But I think if you're talking to, let's say, your mom or your best friend, like for example Victoria, we talk about certain things, it's okay to just get it out of your system.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you have to be fair, because sometimes when Victoria, for example, tells me about a situation or a person, I urge her to think about their perspective as well, the same way she does when I talk about a person or a situation. And I think just getting it out but remaining fair is part of being empathetic, because you want to understand your friend's perspective or whatever, but you also want to ensure that they're not being irrational and that you're not supporting such negative behavior, especially if it's not correct in the situation. And I guess another thing, this is something I've learned from my grandparents and also my mother, being miserable is a choice. And so of course we are in a tough situation with the pandemic and everything, but you can choose to prioritize your happiness and focus on the
good
more
vibes,
positive things, or focus on the things you can be grateful for, and the things you haven't lost, the things you've gained instead. And of course that sounds cliche, but it is important. It is a choice. And I think even in the word choice, the words you choose, you can also make choices. So for example, my grandma always says that my grandpa always hated when she said, I hate something. And I say that a lot, but not that I actually hate it, it's just because I'm dramatic. And my grandma is the same way. And she said that my grandpa always got annoyed with her for saying that, because he thinks, we should choose words like, I don't enjoy that, or I dislike that, because it changes your mindset. Or instead of saying this is a problem, you say it's a challenge. And I think throughout this pandemic, that's been even more important for me, because just even changing those one or two words can totally change your mindset, and it can also help you become less of a burden to other people.
That's interesting. Yeah. I guess like for me, another thing is, being a senior, you're kind of an adult, or like the oldest in your school.
Right.
And I think like there's this sense of you want to be an adult and like go off to college and like woohoo, parties and alcohol and stuff, but like
naughty girl.
But like on the other hand, you also still want to be like, in your nest of like things that are common to you, and like be protected by people that like your parents, your teachers, and all that. And that's why sometimes we can get a bit immature despite our older age. So I think like a really big thing that I've learned is like, if you want to be an adult, you want to be treated as an adult, then you need to be one. And
that's something that was emphasized a lot in our discussions with our lead teacher this year.
Yeah, and it was quite a big, it's not surprising, but like, it kind of gave a new meaning for me, because, with this pandemic, as Talya said, you can make a choice whether to be like miserable and like, have a terrible attitude, or if you want to like, keep the good vibes.
And guys, I often chose to be miserable, okay? I think we all do that.
Yeah.
Because it's easier sometimes.
But it gets tiring.
It's the natural thing, yet it's more tiring at the same time.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
Exactly.
Anyway, go on, sorry.
So, like, I started to realize, well, okay, what do adults do? And I realized, like, okay, yeah, sure, adults complain about lots of things, like doing laundry and all that, which I'll have to do starting college. But
Scary.
I think, oh no.
Go.
Are you okay? Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, I think, when you want to feel that you want to be trusted, when you want to have others respect you, respect your time and all that, you also need to treat others that way. Like, it's pretty cliche, but I think that way you realize that it's hard to be an adult and it's hard to be mature, and you appreciate it when other adults sometimes disappoint you because you realize how tough it is.
Yeah.
To be them.
And I guess one last thing under empathy. Sorry, there's lots to say about empathy.
Yeah.
But in the beginning of the pandemic, I think even though I got over the sort of oddness of not being able to go out and the loneliness after about 2 weeks, you can't really vent your frustrations out as much. And so I started projecting that onto my sister.
Oh no.
And she wasn't having an easy time, and I made it even harder. For example, I told her that what she was doing was less important than what I was doing, which is wrong, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
And, well, I guess I felt like my life was harder because I'm a senior and I have lots of stuff to do. But she's also having a tough time because she's a far more social person than me, so she's missing that human contact more than me. Yet I was projecting all my negative energy that I couldn't process myself onto her, which was completely unfair. So I made her life completely miserable until the end of 2020, I feel.
Oh dear.
And then I would not apologize to her. I would make her feel totally awful about herself. But then I guess starting from 2021, we actually have barely fought, and I think the reason for that is that I'm taking more ownership and responsibility for my own problems and my situations, and I've decided that saying sorry is less of a burden than being angry and just projecting all my anger and expecting her to say sorry.
Yeah.
Because she can say sorry whenever she wants to say sorry, but for me, like, I have to say sorry because if I don't, like, I feel guilty about it. But then at the same time, saying sorry, it's like my ego gets in the way at times.
Yeah.
I think it's just a thing about you have to get rid of your ego.
Yeah.
Take that out of the equation and you apologize and then you move on.
Yeah.
Because, of course, as sisters, I think, or when you have siblings, you fight a lot and you kind of move on quickly. But you don't really move on until that apology has been made. And I think last year we moved on or swept lots of things under the rug. And then this year we've actually been more honest and addressed it like mature individuals more. And I'm grateful for this pandemic because otherwise my relationship with my sister would still be in an odd and not so good place.
Well, that's nice. Good for you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to something else.
Lighter.
Our last thing.
Something lighthearted. So I think like another thing that's been really important, you know, besides relationships with others and all that, is just learning how to take care of yourself, because I feel like when you take care of yourself and you feel happy about yourself, you feel fulfilled, you'll be able to treat others and, like, you know, approach everything else in the world in a more positive way. So I think, yeah, in my experience, I would say a way that I've been kind of taking care of myself, you know, and this doesn't apply to everyone, it's just what works for me, right? Is that, you know, I try to maintain a continuation of the things that I like to do, or, like, you know, to kind of keep myself somewhat busy, because I'm a very busy person.
Yeah,
and
it's so odd because I feel like for both of us, we get stressed when we have lots of things to do, but we get even more stressed when we have nothing to do.
Exactly.
I feel like we're wasting away and dying and we're gonna turn into little corpses.
Exactly, and it's just so stressful. So, you know, having like this continuation of like what, like, you know, things that I usually do has been like very helpful. Like, for example, I still have like my Speak Up Club meetings every Tuesday and Friday. Of course, there's still school. I still try to work out twice a week at the minimum. And like in terms of like when do I eat? I try to eat during, like, you know, the school lunch times and breaks, and, like, you know, to just keep it normal, keep it good. And even besides that, just trying other things, like changing a bit of my schedule by inserting a vocal lesson just to still have, like, you know, the good vibes from singing, and, like, you know, still maintain my piano lessons even though, like, my teacher is in the US visiting her family, so it's been a bit awkward with, like, the schedule, but, you know, I still try to keep it just so that I feel okay. I'm still developing in, like, music, brains, and brawn.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So for me, I would have to completely agree with Victoria. I think maintaining your normal schedule as much as possible really helped me throughout this pandemic, because it makes it feel like you're still living your life, you're still being productive, even though there are obvious restrictions and changes.
Yeah.
So I mean, of course, now I've stopped some of my more academic lessons, but before, when I was still doing school, I had my vocal lessons to prepare myself for my future, worked out with my personal trainer, and then did math lessons because I suck at that. And I also did English tutoring, which is actually something I recommend for people who, okay, so I'm just gonna go off on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah.
But, like, I can speak English, I'm fluent, and I've gotten good grades in English and stuff, but all of a sudden when I went into DP, my self-confidence in English went down a lot because the comments from the teacher were, stop Victoria, you're very distracting, were very harsh at times. And I think part of it is because he is a man and I'm a woman, so he's not explaining some things and he's kind of just stating it as it is, which I appreciate, but sometimes I wish there was also some positive affirmations in it, which I didn't get as much as I had gotten from the same teacher in 10th grade. And so I just felt like I was failing at life, failing at English. And I decided in 12th grade that I was going to get an English tutor, and it was one of the best decisions I made in the pandemic. Because it's not that she taught me how to do English, but she just restored my self-confidence and was just that person I could talk to about any of my insecurities in my writing and my grammar and things like that. So yes, I did that, and I of course did some of the projects that we've been mentioning on and off throughout this entire podcast, and of course there was school. And now that school's over, I'm still doing projects that we've talked about in the first episode, and also doing my lessons still, so that keeps my life pretty normal. And I'm hanging out with my family and seeing you. You're the only friend I really see. COVID! I'm not gonna say that anyway.
Yes. I think for sure, I think another way to keep yourself sane is to interact with other people, especially older people who can give you insights on life.
Yes, I think that's one of the best ways to learn.
Yeah.
To talk to people who are smarter than you, who challenge you.
Yeah.
And know better than you.
Yeah. In my case, I talked a lot to my counselor. And to the point of probably pestering her. Sorry, boo. So throughout the process of applying for university and stuff, I would always pester her about everything and update her about everything. And I don't know, maybe she liked it, maybe she didn't. I think she did.
I think I almost gave her a heart attack once because I told her I'd already selected my firm insurance choice, and I told her I wanted to switch it, but I already passed the 14-day deadline, even though I finally didn't switch it. I just had a moment of panic, and I think I made her almost have a heart attack. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, but it was nice to chat with her because she's someone very experienced in this field, and applying for university is always something that's so high pressure for everyone, regardless of where you apply to. And so hearing her insights kind of gave me more awareness as to why why people are scared and why they shouldn't be scared as they are, right? And even those little insights on things just gave me a sense of, wow, I'm learning something experiential knowledge. And even talking to other teachers, club supervisors and all that, it kind of just give this extra knowledge that you don't get in the classroom. In the classroom you just learn 1 + 1 = 2 and all, and harder stuff than that. But these people, your teachers, have been through way more than you, been through college, been through adulthood, been through even having grandkids or something, or close to grandkids or something.
Really?
Wait, no, I don't think any of our teachers have.
Any teachers that old.
No, but adult kids,
yes,
right?
Okay.
And it's just useful to hear from their perspective and have some more insight, so it kind of frames myself in a more mature, place. Yes.
So I guess that's where we're going to kind of close today's podcast. So we talked about how to make opportunities for ourselves, how to make friendships last despite distance, of course, how to be more empathetic and perhaps not take things too personally, or to just be more generous with your heart and soul, your understanding.
What was that?
I don't know. And also how to take care of yourself. And just make sure to prioritize yourself so that you can take care of others as well.
Yeah. So, two Tweedledums thinking seems contradictory to what Tweedledums are. But honestly, we are outliers. Those are our thoughts for today, and we hope we got you thinking. Not too much though, otherwise you won't listen to us anymore. So my name is Victoria.
And my name is Talya.
And this is Two Tweedledums Thinking. See you Tweedleties next time!
Oh my goodness.